I just see the horse come out. So that work nights, and you come out, and the refineries just on the road, and very thick. Thick with burnt out.
Okay, I'd like to call this meeting to order, the Monday, December 19th, Jamestown City Council voting session. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Sheldon.
Here.
Brackman. Here. Karuba. Here. Reynolds.
Present.
Faulkner.
Here.
Eklund. Here. DeVersa.
Here.
Russell.
Here.
And President Wilson.
Here. This time we'll have a pledge of allegiance to the flag. Also remain standing for the invocation, which will be delivered tonight by the Reverend Dr. William Blair of the New Creation Assembly of God.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Join me in prayer, if you will. Heavenly Father, as we come to you tonight, we're mindful of the season of celebration that now unfolds our city. And the ancient reason for that celebration reflected in the words of promise delivered by Isaiah, the Jewish prophet. For a child will be born to us, a son will be given to us, and the government will rest upon his shoulders, and his name will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Eternal Father, Prince of Peace. There will be no end to the increase of his government or of peace. It is with this hope in our hearts that we celebrate the season and look forward with confidence to a new and better year. Give those in this chamber grace, wisdom, and guidance in the governance allotted to them. Help them neatly wrap up the business concerns of 2022. In doing this, give them one heart and mind as they contemplate and embrace the challenges inherent within the positions they hold. And finally, Father, bless our city, bless its citizens, and bless those who serve them with your peace. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend Blair. Do I have a call for the November 28th voting session? Councilmember Karuba. Do you have any messages from the mayor?
We do. Council members, in pursuance of the authority vested in me by the charter of said city, I do hereby nominate Catherine Maycock, 3652 Westford Hill Road, Jamestown, New York, 14701, to be appointed acting comptroller in and for the city of Jamestown, New York. The term for which said appointment is to be made will expire December 31st, 2023. Edward A. Sundquist. Isaiah Rashad II, 26 Prather Avenue, Jamestown, New York, to be appointed a member of the Human Rights Commission in and for the city of Jamestown, New York. The term for which said appointment is to be made will expire December 31st, 2023. Edward A. Sundquist.
Do I have a motion to suspend the rules here? Moved by Councilman Sheldon. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Sheldon.
Aye.
Brackman. Karuba.
Aye.
Reynolds.
Aye.
Faulkner.
Aye.
Eklund. DeVersa.
Aye.
Russell.
Aye.
And President Wilson.
Aye. Do you have a sponsor for the appointments?
So moved.
So moved by Councilwoman Eklund. Clerk, please poll the council.
Councilmember Sheldon.
Aye.
Brackman. Karuba. Reynolds.
Aye.
Faulkner.
Aye.
Eklund. DeVersa.
Aye.
Russell.
Aye.
And President Wilson.
Aye. Messages? Okay. At this time, we have opportunities for persons to address the council. If there's anyone here who would like to address the city council this evening, please step up to one of the mics, give your name, address, and limit your remarks to 5 minutes. Is there anyone?
Good evening. My name is Melinda Staller, and I reside at 17 West Cowden Place. And I have a few things I will be discussing tonight. I would like to give my opinion on the possible future plan for cannabis dispensaries in Jamestown, New York. First of all, I'd like to talk a little bit about my background. I do have a degree in psychology from Fredonia College, and I attended St. Bonaventure and have a counseling degree. And also I worked for Health and Human Services for 32 years. And some of that was doing work as a caseworker in foster care, and also I worked in case management on the employability team, was a supervisor for a few years, and also supervised temporary assistants. Okay, I wanted to speak a little bit, as I said, about the possible future plan for dispensaries in Jamestown. Marijuana availability and use affects the brains of children and young adults. The brain is not fully developed until around age 22. It is easy for adults to get marijuana, and then our youth are exposed. Children 15 to 17 years old engage in risky behaviors, and parent-child clashes occur often. Early cannabis use affects brain development and results in immediate and lasting harm. Brain areas that change the most during adolescence may be especially vulnerable to cannabis exposure. According to an article I was reading, a part of the brain changed more in cannabis users than non-users. The region is involved in decision-making and other tasks, and this can lead to long-lasting problems with behavior and memory. I am aware of a few families that have struggled with a family crisis due to their teenager being introduced to marijuana use. This has resulted in the child living away from their parent and a loss of interest in school and hobbies and goals for their future. The teenager is vulnerable as their internal reward system is not developed. Children that have grown up in foster care are vulnerable, and many are homeless, and an exposure to a drug culture is not the answer for them. Heavy drug users start with the most accessible drug, which includes marijuana. Alcohol and nicotine are not excluded. I encourage the city to explore other avenues to increase revenue. The families and youth deserve better, and the goal is to support opportunities that enhance their future. Another topic I have is the drug bust at 15 West Cowden Place, which is next door to where I live, and occurred on December 7th. The drug traffickers were released with a court appearance ticket. I'm unsure if there was not room in the jail or if they were released due to the belief that the crime was nonviolent. There continues to be a lot of foot traffic in and out of that house after the arrest, and this disrupts our neighborhood. I did complete a code referral after the last council meeting regarding the unstable side porch, and my complaint was addressed immediately, and I thank you for that. So there was a violation found, and even though there was a violation found, people are still entering through that side porch area to go upstairs. So I'm not sure why that continues to be allowed. Okay, I do have a question also on Title 91 funding. I think it's referred to as Title 91, which is the grant for first-time homeowners. How will the applicants be screened? How will you assess their commitment to the neighborhood? And what will prevent the participants from leasing their property to someone else who will not be code compliant? And one last question. I was informed by a neighbor that the house on the corner of Barrett and East Cowden, number 155, has lead throughout the house and will be torn down. And my question is whether this is true, and could there be a plan to repair the house? Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I just respond to her? If you don't mind, President Mills. And as far as the 1980 program, I would recommend that you speak with Mr. Haskins after the meeting. He charges. It's very frustrating for the police department. The chief can speak to you afterwards, but that would be related to the New York State bail reform.
I'm familiar with that.
So unfortunately, there's people that are being arrested on serious charges, and we continue to be released back into our communities. But the chief can expand on that a little later.
On some of those issues as well. Is there anyone else who would like to?
Yes, I'm Doug Champ, 225 Bowen Street in Jamestown. First of all, I'd like to wish everybody a coming happy Merry Christmas and New Year. It's been an interesting year, as you all know, and the next one might prove to even be more so. Depending on what will happen, we'll have to take it as it comes. Elliot approached me downstairs the other day, asked me why I didn't show up at the salary review committee. And I told him, I said, well, I was busy that night, but I'm here tonight. I don't have enough time to go into this, but I've got a plan that will be significantly easier to swallow, less expensive, and come across with salary increases, and also a stipend for each of the committee chairman. Rather than going into a situation in an election year where you are thinking about what to do about a salary increase, this actually is an important part of, I think, of any process. What happened over the last 25 years is not something that should be revisited on now, because the prior Democratic administration and city council, which is numerously was Democratic back in those days, chose not to vote a salary increase. So now, after all these years, we're playing catch up, and rightfully so. I'm not saying that anyone in this position shouldn't deserve, that includes the mayor, an increase in salary. However, when you put the numbers together, you're looking at a 50% increase for the city council, if you do it that way. I have another plan, and I'm asking to meet with, I don't know who the city controller will be, that remains to be seen, I guess. Also, with the finance committee to actually develop a spreadsheet, which I think is more economical. And in the first year alone, it would save almost $50,000. And that ball applies itself out for each following term to where it plays catch up to the numbers of $198,000, which is the increase that the salary committee proposed. Now that includes the city council president and all of you. You're going for a 50% increase based on their numbers. I've got something that's much more subjective, much more presentable, and more economically feasible for the community. So all I'm asking, here's a citizen asking to show up with those issues and see whether or not my idea makes any sense at all. Okay? That's all I'm asking for. I mean, ideas should be a place to have genesis from the community to the city council. And it can work the other way, but this is something that I don't have anywhere near enough time to present. So I'm asking next year if I might have that opportunity as you wade through the analysis that's been presented. And remember, it's an election year, so if you indicate to the people that you decided to have a 50% increase in your salary, it might not weigh too well, but the people who are going to run against you are going to use it against you, but they're going to take the salary increase anyway. So that's the way it works. So that's all I'm here for, other than wishing you all a prosperous, happy New Year. Thank you.
Thank you. I knew I should have appointed you. Anyone else would like to speak?
Yes, my name is John Zabrodsky. I live at 2 Timber Lane in Jamestown, and I would just like to echo a couple of things that Mr. Champ has talked about over the last few months, and then trying to discuss a little bit of how the City Council has done business and hopefully does business in 2023. And that is just trying to be a little bit more transparent. When folks ask for commentary from the city council, it should be from the city council. And in my situation, I've asked a bunch of questions this year. I got a written response from Mr. Doles, and I appreciate that, thanks very much. But I'm a constituent of Ms. Karuba, Ms. Eklund, Mr. Russell, and Mr. DeVersa. And I guess I'm a little bit curious as to why, over a year, those people haven't really responded at all, why they had to respond through you, Mr. Doles. And I'd also like to say, if you do respond via email, that really should be part of the record of the minutes of the meetings that you're having. I think that that's a little bit disingenuous to respond via email or something that gets asked, because one thing that you guys changed, which I think is a change for the worse, is in the prior years, you were putting everything word for word into the minutes, and now you have just a summary of what goes into the minutes. I think that's a change that you should go back to, because I think it's important to hear from the citizens and what they're telling you and your constituents. I, like Mr. Champ, would like to wish you happy holidays, and I would like to commend whoever did all of the decorations and found the tree. It's a spectacular tree, it really is. Thanks very much, and thank you for that.
Thank you. Anyone else? We'll move on. Do you have any presentation petitions? None. We'll move on to reports from our standing committees. We'll start with the Finance Committee report. Settling resolutions will be sponsored by Councilwoman Kaluba.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have a resolution authorizing payment of the regular audit.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Clerk, please poll the council.
Councilmember Sheldon.
Aye.
Griffin. Karuba.
Aye.
Reynolds.
Aye.
Faulkner.
Aye.
Eklund. DeVersa.
Aye.
Russell.
Aye.
And President Wilson.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have a resolution designating depositories for the city of Jamestown for 2023.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Clerk, please poll the council.
Councilmember Sheldon.
Aye.
Griffin. Karuba.
Aye.
Reynolds.
Aye.
Faulkner.
Aye.
Eklund. DeVersa.
Aye.
Russell.
Aye.
And President Wilson.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have a resolution authorizing the mayor and council members to attend various meetings in 2023 with expenses paid pursuant to section 77-E of the general municipal law.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Clerk, please poll the council.
Councilmember Sheldon.
Aye.
Griffin. Karuba.
Aye.
Reynolds.
Aye.
Faulkner.
Aye.
DeVersa.
Aye.
Russell.
Aye.
President Wilson.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have a resolution adopting the current procurement policy for the year 2023 based on recommendations from the State Controller's Office.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Clerk, please poll the council.
Councilmember Sheldon.
Aye.
Griffin. Karuba.
Aye.
Reynolds.
Aye.
Faulkner.
Aye.
Eklund. DeVersa.
Aye.
Russell.
Aye.
And President Wilson.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have a resolution appropriating $250,000 and no cents in American Rescue Plan Act Healthy Communities and Neighborhoods to the 19A Home Ownership Program funds.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Clerk, please poll the council.
Councilmember Sheldon.
Aye.
Griffin. Karuba.
Aye.
Reynolds.
Aye.
Faulkner.
Aye.
Eklund. DeVersa.
Aye.
Russell.
Aye.
President Wilson.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have a resolution designating $68,895.16 in American Rescue Plan Act Transparency and Tracking Funds for the purpose of replacing 20 Cisco switches to be purchased from SHI International.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Clerk, please poll the council.
Councilmember Sheldon.
Aye.
Griffin. Karuba.
Aye.
Reynolds.
Aye.
Faulkner.
Aye.
Eklund. DeVersa.
Aye.
Russell.
Aye.
President Wilson.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have a resolution authorizing the mayor to purchase from SHI International 20 Cisco switches for a total amount not to exceed $68,895.16.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Clerk, please poll the council.
Councilmember Sheldon.
Aye.
Griffin. Karuba.
Aye.
Reynolds.
Aye.
Faulkner.
Aye.
Eklund. DeVersa.
Aye.
Russell.
Aye.
President Wilson.
Aye.
Mr. President, I have a resolution authorizing the city controller to make the following amendment to the 2022 general fund budget for fire station 4's roof as follows. Increase appropriations $8.3 fire capital account, $21,400.00. Decrease appropriations R.9551.6053.0061, ARPA account, $21,400.00.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Clerk, please poll the council.
Councilmember Sheldon.
Aye.
Brackman. Ruben.
Aye.
Reynolds.
Aye.
Faulkner.
Aye.
Eckert.
Aye.
Aversa.
Aye.
Russell.
Aye.
President Wilson.
Aye.
Mr. President, I have a resolution authorizing Mayor Edward Sunquist to enter into an agreement with the County of Chautauqua for stop DWI services beginning January 1, 2023 and ending December 31st, 2024.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Clerk, please poll the council.
Councilmember Sheldon.
Aye.
Brackman.
Aye.
Karuba.
Aye.
Reynolds.
Aye.
Faulkner.
Aye.
Eklund.
Aye.
Aversa.
Aye.
Russell.
Aye.
And President Wilson.
Aye.
Mr. President, I have a resolution accepting a donation from Rand Machine Products in the amount of $2,000 to fund the purchase of smoke alarms for the Jamestown Fire Department's Fire Prevention Outreach Program. And be it further resolved that the Jamestown City Council hereby extends its appreciation and gratitude on behalf of the citizens of the city of Jamestown, W. Grimm, and the employees of Rand Machine Products for their generous donation. Also of note that all smoke alarms purchased from this donation would be made available under the fire department's existing distribution policy.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Clerk, please poll the council.
Councilmember Sheldon.
Aye.
Brackman.
Aye.
Karuba.
Aye.
Reynolds.
Aye.
Faulkner.
Aye.
Eklund. Aversa.
Aye.
Russell.
Aye.
And President Wilson.
Aye.
Mr. President, I have a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a deed to take title to the property located at 17 Deering Avenue from David Anderson, executed via a power of attorney for the inclusion in the 19A homeownership program for $1.00.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Clerk, please poll the council.
Councilmember Sheldon.
Aye.
Brackman.
Aye.
Karuba.
Aye.
Reynolds. Faulkner.
Aye.
Eklund.
Aye.
Aversa.
Aye.
Russell.
Aye.
President Wilson.
Aye.
Mr. President, I have a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a deed to take title to the property located at 523 Windsor Street from grantor Jennifer Stendahl for inclusion in the 19A homeownership program for $1.00.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Clerk, please poll the council.
Councilmember Sheldon.
Aye.
Brackman.
Aye.
Karuba.
Aye.
Reynolds.
Aye.
Faulkner.
Aye.
Eklund.
Aye.
Aversa.
Aye.
Russell.
Aye.
President Wilson.
Aye.
Mr. President, I have a resolution augthrizing the mayor and Jeffrey Lehman, PD, Director of Public Works and Acting Director of Parks, Recreation, and Conservation, to purchase from Milton Cat one new Caterpillar 317 excavator for a total amount not to exceed $249,610.00. And of note that this funding is provided through the CHIPS fund.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Clerk, please poll the council.
Councilmember Sheldon.
Aye.
Brackman.
Aye.
Karuba.
Aye.
Reynolds.
Aye.
Faulkner.
Aye.
Eklund.
Aye.
Aversa.
Aye.
Russell.
Aye.
And President Wilson.
Aye.
Mr. President, finally, out of finance, I have a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute change order number 1 with Estabone Construction Company Incorporated for concrete work, Chambers Street, 2022, for a decreased amount of $11,071.35.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Clerk, please poll the council.
Councilmember Sheldon.
Aye.
Brackman. Karuba.
Aye.
Reynolds.
Aye.
Faulkner.
Aye.
Eklund. Aversa.
Aye.
Russell.
Aye.
President Wilson.
Aye. That concludes our resolutions from finance. We move on to public safety, and Councilman Sheldon will sponsor the first two.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have a local law authorizing the use of video conferencing for meetings of public bodies.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Clerk, please poll the council.
Councilmember Sheldon.
Aye.
Brackman. Karuba.
Aye.
Reynolds.
Aye.
Faulkner.
Aye.
Eklund.
Aye.
Aversa.
Aye.
Russell.
Aye.
And President Wilson.
Aye.
I have a local law reapportioning the ward boundary lines.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Clerk, please poll the council.
Councilmember Sheldon.
Aye.
Brackman. Karuba.
Aye.
Reynolds.
Aye.
Faulkner.
Aye.
Eklund.
Aye.
Aversa.
Aye.
Russell.
Aye.
And President Wilson.
Aye. And to be noted, there will be a public hearing on both of those on next Wednesday, December 28th, one at 4:45, and the other one immediately following at 5 p.m. for those two local laws before the mayor signs them. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm going to do 17 and 18. Resolution 17 is granting Games of Chance, which is the bell jar license to various organizations for the year 2020.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Clerk, please poll the council.
Councilmember Sheldon.
Aye.
Brackman. Kahuza. Reynolds.
Aye.
Halter.
Aye.
Eckler. DeVersa.
Aye.
Russell.
Aye.
President Hughes.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. President. Resolution 18, establishing the fiscal year next year, 2023 regular meetings of this body, Jamestown City Council.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Clerk, please poll the council.
Councilmember Sheldon.
Aye.
Brackman. Kahuza. Reynolds.
Aye.
Halter.
Aye.
Eckler. DeVersa.
Aye.
Russell.
Aye.
And President Hughes.
Aye. The next two resolutions will be sponsored by Councilman Russell.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have a resolution designating the Post Journal as the official newspaper for the publications for the period January 1st, 2023 through December 31st, 2023.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Clerk, please poll the council.
Councilmember Sheldon.
Aye.
Brackman. Kahuza. Reynolds.
Aye.
Halter.
Aye.
Eckler. DeVersa.
Aye.
Russell.
Aye.
President Hughes.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have a resolution reappointing Patricia A. Canby to the office of Commissioner of Deeds for a term of 2 years.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Clerk, please poll the council.
Councilmember Sheldon.
Aye.
Brackman. Kahuza. Reynolds.
Aye.
Halter.
Aye.
Eckler. DeVersa.
Aye.
Russell.
Aye.
Aye. That concludes our pre-filed resolutions from our committees. We'll move on, reports of special committees. Is there anything? Seeing none.
Mr. Dole, I just want to make a comment this evening. BPU voted on a increase. I don't know if the mayor was going to talk about that at all in your remarks. There was a vote tonight at the BPU board meeting that there'll be an increase for solid waste to the customers of Jamestown. That increase will be $1.50 per month for the basic service charge for all residential customers. Additionally, there's going to be a 50% increase to the monthly recycling credit, meaning you're actually going to get a rebate of 50 cents if you recycle. So there'll be a net increase to your monthly bill of $1 on your solid waste.
Any reports of city officers? Any reports from council members on administrative boards? Any unfinished business?
I'd like to make a comment if I could, Mr. President. The other day, the Public Safety Committee was invited to a pizza party that was held at the JPD. Mr. Champ supplied the beverages and the pizza, and it was well attended by all the officers, as you can imagine. And I was there also, and I had a great time visiting with some of the new members of the force, and got to know a lot of people. So kudos for the guys to let us come in, and I know a lot of other organizations bring food and gifts, so to speak, for our wonderful law enforcement community and fire departments too. But it was good to have a gathering, I should say. So thank you for all of that.
How about
Thank you.
pizzas? Yeah, I love it.
I had 4 pieces.
Amazing. Is there any new business tonight come before the council? I do have some remarks to make. I'd like to. At least 10. What time's the football game? I just wanted to talk a little bit about the year in review briefly. This is the last meeting of 2022. We will not be meeting again until January 9th, I believe. We're off next week for Christmas. We're off the following week for New Year's. So it's a few weeks, so I just wanted to kind of recap and thank the council for your diligent work this past year. It has been a very challenging year. We've had entrusted with us the responsibility of $28 million of our funds. And although it's a good challenge and a good problem to have, it's been very difficult to try to wade through and work through all the different ideas, resolutions, programs. And, you know, we started back in March. We had a retreat at the Jackson Center where we sat down for well over 2 hours and worked through some initial spending plan for ARPA funds. And one of the things, you know, in this is that, you know, I've always told people that in the community that this is like a family member that passes away that leaves you, the family, all the money, and everybody fights over it, and everybody in the community wants a piece of it, and everybody has an idea of where the money goes, should go. And we have done, I believe the council has done a great job of touching all areas of our community. Economic development, we've put quite a bit of programs and quite a bit of money into business and industries, as well as millions of dollars for seniors and neighborhoods, for demolition. So through the Department of Development, we're still working on some plans that are going through there. Tonight we passed some more resolutions for ARPA. We touched on public safety. This past year was a very challenging year. We had an increase in gun violence, and we had a very large and well-attended forum back in, I believe it was September. We had it. We hired additional staff of both fire and police to deal with particularly violence, particularly EMS, and we're still looking at getting those guys in and trained and up to speed. So we've hit public safety, as well as equipment and infrastructure for those departments, badly needed equipment, police vehicles and other equipment, turnout gear for the fire department and other pieces of equipment. Infrastructure on buildings, particularly with the fire department, some of the long-needed repairs that we just have not been able to budget for over the years. This gave us the opportunity this year to start to work on those and get ahead and use some of that money. So hitting public safety. We also spent a lot of money in DPW for badly needed vehicles and equipment and infrastructure for some of the projects that DPW is going to be undertaking in the next several years. So we tried to hit, you know, as many areas as we possibly could. We started out with dealing with the Chattacoin River back in January and February, getting started on that badly needed process of cleaning up that river, shoring up the shorelines, and moving forward so that that river will be a greater asset in the years to come for Jamestown. So again, touching all areas, we've expended probably close to 25 million now, dollars over 28 million. So I know some people throughout the year there were criticisms of moving too slowly, but this is a once in a lifetime, once in a generational type of task that this council had. I remember when we first got the announcement that it was 28 million, and when I saw that email, I thought it was a typo. I thought it was 2.8 million, and 28 million is a daunting task to try to figure out. It sounds like a great problem to have, but there's a lot of things. We could spend $28 million like that in all departments and still have needs. So to bounce all those balls around and try to hit every department, hit neighborhoods, hit development, hit economic development, hit public safety, as well as other programs that are in the works and still in the works out there, infrastructure and manpower and all of those. I think the council took their time and did their due diligence in working through those and coming up with the best solutions. And again, not everyone's going to agree on the amounts and on the programs, but you know, we did our best. We listened to the public, numerous phone calls and emails and people coming to council meetings and talking to us and urging us and lobbying us for different programs. And so I want to commend this council for this work this year. And as far as the budget goes, every year the budget is a challenge. All the years that I've been on council, it's never been easy. It doesn't get any easier. As we're at or near our constitutional tax limit, it's always a goal of the administration and council to deliver at least a no tax increase budget. And we were able to do that again this year. And again, there's always debate. There's always people feel this should be cut or that shouldn't be cut. But we we work diligently with that. You know, the word transparency is used, kicked around a lot today, and I can say that, you know, while some people may not believe that this council or that councils are not transparent, I believe you have been. We work diligently through that. We had a lot of challenges with the budget that was proposed to us, and it took a lot of time to work through that. We listened to every department. We took phone calls, we took emails, and it did come down to the last $11 to do that. And again, I know Councilwoman Ackerman has been praised for that, a lot of the work that she did, but again, all the other council people took in ideas and gave her ideas as well. And so I just want to thank you guys for a very challenging, difficult year, and we did it ethically, we did it with openness, we didn't fight with each other, we didn't fight with anybody, we went back and forth, but it was a good public discourse. And you know, one of the goals that I always have, and that I've been on this council, is been very, very proud to say over the years that I've been on this council that in a time when you see such dysfunction at the national and even state levels at time, and even some other local governments in our own backyard, while we do have disagreements, and we're not always going to, you know, come to the conclusions that everybody's happy with, we do our best with what we're given from the administration, our own ideas, and we work professionally and ethically to try to bring the best product forward for the residents of Jamestown. So as the president of this council for this year and into next year, we're halfway through our terms. And I know next year will be, I'm sure there'll be many, many more challenges coming our way. And I know you're up to the task. And I just want to say that I'm proud to be your leader on this task, on these tasks, and I look forward to working with all of you next year. And I just want to wish all of you and everybody out there, as we have a little time off now to enjoy the holidays. So Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. We'll roll up our sleeves and we'll get back to work in January. So, thank you.
Very nice.
Is there any other new business?
Don't forget, Happy Hanukkah.
And Happy Hanukkah and Happy Holidays to everybody, whatever faith you are, whatever you celebrate. Seeing no other business,